Try different wines.
What's your favorite wine? Red or white? Hold on, first. Okay, all right.
I'm sophisticated.
I think a part of me was just like, y'all, we've been great. You're just now figuring it out, but we've been great. That's who we are. It's in our DNA.
To like be my colossal Deadpool, like impersonation, 1 or 2 moments, right? It's.
And I'm sitting there in my head going, I wonder if I can somehow sniff the traffic going from the armband. It's got to be talking to an API or something.
To the next cocktail, to the next conversation. Yo, what is up, C3 Squad? Welcome back to another episode of the C3 Podcast. It's been a minute. I missed y'all. I know y'all been like, where is going on? We saw the last episode like a couple of weeks ago. Listen, we've been doing some things, but you know I got y'all. You know I was going to come back, had a conversation for you. We'll talk about what's going on with the C3 Podcast a little bit later. You guys will hear about that. But for today, you know we are back. We got another special guest, and y'all know what it is already. Because I tell everybody, every single guest on this podcast is special. But this guest right here, I'm trying to tell you. This guest right here. If y'all have not listened to a podcast, this is the one to listen to. Because this guest, Miss Kymberly Caldwell, comes to the C3 Podcast, comes to the C3 Squad to drop some knowledge and have a great conversation with y'all. Welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. David. It's a pleasure to be here. Happy Winning Wednesday, I believe. All my days look alike, so, you know. I think today is Wednesday. Is that right? June the 1st.
June 1st. Yeah, June 1st on a Wednesday. Look, all the days look alike because all the days success. That's why. You know what I'm saying? You chasing after that success. You get it every day, so it's all going to look the same.
That's right.
You know?
Exactly.
That's what you do. So, first of all, before we really get into it, go ahead. I love to give all my guests some time. Introduce yourself to the people. Tell them what y'all about.
Wow. So my name is Kymberly Caldwell. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. I am 51 and fast approaching 52. Where does the time go, David? But listen, I am an employee turned serial entrepreneur. Love the industry of network marketing. Believe in multiple streams of income. I am the residual income builder. I am a faith girl. I love God and network marketing. I mean, it's an exciting time to be alive. I'm grateful. And I'm just glad to be here to share, this journey with the people.
All right. That's what's up. So, I mean, it's one of my favorite topics to talk about, which is network marketing, partly because I believe in it so much and the philosophies and things that is there, but also partly because it's one of those topics that's like a hotbed. Like everybody loves to get in these passionate arguments about it. And I'm just like, I love it. So first of all, let's talk about your journey from entrepreneur to serial entrepreneur, and just talk to me about what was the moment that kind of led to that, when you were just like, okay, I think I want to start trying this, and then kind of led you to being a serial entrepreneur.
Well, it's funny because I tell people I started working in the 3rd grade. So I'm a byproduct of a small business. My dad is a physician, mom is a nurse. And so they actually started a business, medical practice, 1978. I was in the 3rd grade. So I started working right after school every summer, filing papers, and that lasted all throughout high school. We had a practice for 38 years, and I actually, attended UNC, finished in 1992. And the day after I graduated, Dad was like, "What are you about to do?" And I was like, "I don't know." I was a business administration degree with a management concentration, right? And he was like, "I know, you're going to start work tomorrow." So I went back to the family business and worked another 24 years. And so my parents actually introduced me to the industry of network marketing. And just like everyone else, David, I was not interested. I was too busy. I was already doing enough. I did not want to add anything else to my plate. And they were like, "No, you need to hear about this." They were most impressed by their first exposure. And they said, "You need to see this." And so that's how it all started for me.
Okay. Yeah. And it's so interesting. I found that everybody's first entrance to it is, the stories are usually the same. They see it and they be like, "Oh, okay." And it's like, "No, that's not for me. You can do something else." Or it's the typical, they see it, they get super excited. and they go tell like their bestie or their mom or their parent or somebody, oh, blah, 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 that's that. And then it's just like, oh, okay. And it's interesting to me because that there's a reason for the excitement, right? And it's there's a very subtle art to when you're explaining somebody, you're pitching something, right? And when you're truly what you're selling something, but you're describing like what something is and what it can be in an opportunity. And when you live in that excitement, right, of the promise of the hope of what something is, which is based in reality, right? That is kind of what drives everything else to keep going. But it's often so many times manipulated to different ends that people miss that, right? And it's there's tons of cases, stuff like that. You get, obviously, internet, everybody can do their own research and find all these different things or whatever about, it was this organization, they did this, blah, 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 whatever. And I'm like, yeah, but what you guys are missing, right? There's good, bad, and everything, right? Everything in moderation, right? Is what I always tell people, right? So you can take the most skilled surgeon in the world, right? Who knows how to operate on anybody and do all these things and save lives, right? There's an edge between him being a really good surgeon or her being a really good surgeon and a serial killer. And so, and people, I say that and people are like, oh my gosh. And I was like, yeah, but if you think about it, either way, this person knows how to take you apart and put you back together successfully, right? This person is trained to do, but the person is using it to help people. So it's how you use something and how you use a tool that goes about it, which is why I've always been, I love to get in these conversations about network marketing, because I was like, you saw all of that. I don't really even care about what the product, like, did you understand the principles and the theories that they were trying to teach you? And so I want to know about, like, so you saw it, they introduced it, wasn't really ready. And then like, what happens there? What kind of brought you back to it or made you go back and think, let me see what this is all about?
So I was invited to a meeting. The dreaded meeting, right? So I go to this meeting with my parents and I meet a registered nurse who is earning $20,000 a month residual income. And I'm like, $20,000 a month? Are you serious? Like, it takes me 6 months to make $20,000. So I became very interested all of a sudden in everything she had to say.
Right.
And so got involved in the industry and really learned how to plug in. I really learned about the system and I appreciated the system and what the system had to offer. And I think that it's so important to understand that if you work it, it will work. But if you don't, it will not. And that's like anything else, right? And so got involved with this company for 5 years, really was dedicated, very passionate about the products, but I really did not make a lot of money. And it did not deter me. I just wanted to see, could it really work for me? I didn't see really anyone that looked like me, David, winning in the industry, but I saw people making money and people are people, right? So I knew that it had to work. And so fast forward, I was involved with this company for 5 years. Fast forward, took a break, started my own brand and, started investing a lot of money into that. And just realized that if that brand was going to become successful, it was going to take a lot more money. I wasn't really aware of that, right? And so guess what? Network marketing comes across my desk again. And I'm like, aha, this is my turn. See, she was the first person in Western North Carolina to open up that area. And so when this company was presented to me, I was going to be the first person in Western North Carolina. I was like, okay, God, you're no respecter of persons. If you did it for her, you can do it for me, maybe just not at the same time, right? So when I was introduced the second go round, I guess I was still ignorance on fire, just wanting to share. But something happened. We actually closed down the family business. And so at that point in my life, I was already tired. I was a medical office manager, had done that for 24 years. All 24 years were stressful. Salary had capped out. There was no way I could see myself working another 20 years to retire in the medical field with OSHA, HIPAA, meaningful use, and all of that. And it just, I didn't know how it was going to come to an end. But network marketing appeared. And I'm so grateful that it did the second time around. And I needed it to work. My why was different. We actually closed down the family business and I found myself at the age of 45, unemployed, no retirement starting life all over again. And I had already tried traditional business, if you will, and I knew the type of money that I needed to invest into that business, right? So we're talking about a low investment here, low overhead, and timing and positioning, like win-win. And so I needed it to work, and I went to work. And on my journey, I started to study, what is it going to take to become successful? Because I need this to work. And
Right.
not only that, I am understanding that not only do I need it, but a lot of people are not prepared for retirement. So what are they going to do? I think I'll help them with this industry of network marketing.
Right. And it's, man, there's a couple of like really key concepts that you hit on that I want to kind of expand on and go deeper into the conversation about. One is, you know, understanding and plugging in and using the system, right? And for people who have been around, the network marketing industry a lot, you hear that all the time, right? Plug in, into the system. And the naysayers go, oh, that's brainwashing, that's this, that, or whatever. And so the interesting thing that I've always had this relationship with network marketing is, while I've been a part of a couple, my brother's been in a bunch of them, right? I've seen it from afar. I've been in some, but then I've also been in corporate America, right? Building my career over here. And the most success that actually 80% of my success I've had in my corporate career actually came from everything I learned being around the network marketing industry, and the studying and the leadership and how to build teams and how to develop people, how to work on your people skills, like all these things that they were giving me. It's like, you got to do this to kind of build this business. And I'm like not seeing it work over here, right? But was actually working in my life, because I was taking that and applying and learning that there is a system of how you get people to work together and accomplish things. It's team building. It's all these things, and realizing that what true servant leadership is that if you are working with your team and helping them to empower them to be their best selves and accomplish their goals, then you get those goals the same way. And most network marketing companies, the compensation plan is monetarily driven for you to do that. And so as I started applying that, like, actually in my life and my career started taking off, right? And they're just like, Dave, how do you always get these impossible projects done? How do you get this project will never get done? And they'll send me in, and I'm like, okay, well, let's do that. And I'm just like, I'm applying like all these skills. And so there is a system that once you kind of, and I'm gonna use this word, right, that I think gets a lot of people, there is a system that once you submit to, right, which is a very interesting word to use when you think about that, right? And I'm not going to preach to y'all today, but when you find that, right, you take your ego out of it and you find a system and you say, okay, I'm going to submit to the system and follow what's there. The results just will come, right? It's just, if I do these 3 steps, if I told you how to make water, right? H2O, you know how to make water. But if I gave you all a recipe to make water, and I said, look, you just take these 3 steps and you keep repeating them, eventually you'll have water. And if I watched you, Kymberly, follow those steps and then make water, so I know that water can be made. I know those are the steps. So now all I got to do is what? Keep applying the steps, right, and water will come. And why I'm so big on that is because the principle of that, right? What I would tell anybody is, like, if you got into network marketing for, however, let's just say 3 years and never earned a single dime, but you got that philosophy and understand that concept, that will make you more money than anything that you've ever accomplished. Because when you start to get around success in any industry, right, you will find the same clues and the same principles everywhere. I've talked to CEOs, I've talked to business leaders, and it's hilarious to me. Like, I will sit there and be laughing. They're like, dude, what's so funny? I talked to one CEO, he'd been CEO for like 20 years, got in like really young, super successful. We were chatting overseas, and I was just, at the bar talking, and he starts saying like all these principles that I'd heard like leaders at a network marketing convention say. He's like, dude, I just realized that if I believe in my people and I could duplicate myself, that's the way that I could succeed. And so I truly, like, he started talking about servant leadership, and I'm looking at him, I'm like, this is crazy. And I was like, so many people don't see this and understand that it's like, take everything else out. It's these principles right? And depending on where you fall in life, what you believe in, there's going to be a reason why these principles appear everywhere. Because there's just certain universal laws that I don't care what you do, if you follow them, those things happen. So anyway, I'll go off on a tangent, but I thought that was huge about, kind of following that system and hearing your stories. Like, as you said, you came in, you plugged into the system, and you said you got to work, but it had to work because you had to get to work. I think that's how you said it, right?
I needed it to work because I lost my job. And I did not want to go back to work for another 20 years for someone else.
Right.
I just refused to do that. So I needed it to work.
And that's the other fundamental piece, right? The why. Anything in life, you have to have a reason why you're doing something. And you learn how strong your reason is when circumstances come up, right? So I'll use a really easy example. Everybody wants to look better and work out, right?
Are we going there?
We're going there. Everybody wants to do it. Of course, right? Like, he's like, I want the six pack. I want these things.
And I also want.
Right. So I'm gonna go work out. And then he says, so what's my reason why? Oh, because I want to look a certain way. And we quickly find out that why is not strong enough, because when it's been a long day and it's 7:30 and that glass of wine and your favorite TV show is on and that bed or that couch,
right,
all of a sudden you looking like whoever don't really matter that much to you no more, right?
Exactly.
And so it's not strong enough for you to get you past yourself, right? To get past self and go, I've got to go and do this thing, right? And so you've got to get down to a deeper why. And in your case, like you said, you was like, okay, well, I've been down this path and I've seen that. I ain't trying to go back. So, right? It's not now your why's a little stronger than, well, yeah, I could kind of do this or this. No. Like, I got to do this. So as you're going with the second opportunity, you get in, you got your stronger why. Like, what are some of the challenges that you ran into?
Well, it's still the no, sharing with people, having this belief that it can really change their lives, and you're still getting the no's. And the stats, 40% of Americans are not ready for retirement. When you know this information, you're like, okay, well, what are you going to do? I have something that can help you. And then people won't even take the time to look at it. And so still, facing the no's. And I still don't like the no's, David, but I realize that the person with the most no's is making the most money.
Right.
And it's funny when you talk about the why. Your why does evolve. It even evolves as you grow in the business. So, initially it was like, I'm getting involved because I need to make some extra money. But then you start to realize, I have aging parents. I want to be in a position to help my family. I really am not prepared for retirement. I'm 51. I don't want to go back to work. I see what that looks like. It gets serious. It's kind of like when you're talking about, well, I'm working out because I want to look good. Well, now I have high blood pressure, or I just had a heart attack. Why do we have to get to that stage to make that decision? We're just humans, right?
Yeah. It is, right? Until it's something that we feel is tangible, right? That truly has an impact. Or my last guest is a change agent, right? Something that's going to force you to go, okay, like now it's you have to go this way, right? Because if you don't, like, the consequence is no longer an inconvenience. The consequence is now a severe, right? And it activates, that kind of inner, fight or flight within us. Like, okay, well, what are you going to do, right? And you hear this even in the case of, traditional business, right? People look at this and goes, well, okay, that's cool. That's all the market and stuff. I was like, yeah, but these same principles apply to traditional business, right? When you are building a traditional business, you've got to do your investment and build it and have a why that's going to get you through there, because it's not going to be easy. It's not, you got to go through the no's. I mean, like any business owner, entrepreneur out there will tell you, if when you start a business for the first time, you start that LLC, you get your EIN, yay, congratulations. Now, guess what? No bank, no Chase, no Wells Fargo is going to lend you anything until they see 2 years worth of tax returns.
Right.
So now it's like, okay, you've got this business, you're going, right? But now you've got to go make something happen to create revenue, because they're going to be like, all right, well, we need to see that you're doing something. You're like, yeah, but I need more resources so I can do these things. And so welcome to the grind of a business. Now you got to go and get those no's, which is, no, you can't get this funding, or no, you can't do this. So it's like, okay, how do I figure this out? Right now you got it. Now you have to get creative. Every story of success and wherever it comes down in any kind of business comes down to, you've got to dig in and go, how do I make this happen? How do I find a way to make this happen? Like, this didn't work that way. Okay, well, that didn't work. What else is going to work? And it's not the people that say, okay, well, it doesn't work, and then they just shut everything down. It's the person that says, I'm just going to stay here, right? This didn't work. I'm going to try again tomorrow. That didn't work. I'm going to try again tomorrow. That didn't work. I'm going to try again tomorrow. And then that next tomorrow comes, you're like, holy shit, that worked. And you're like, okay, cool, that worked. And now what's the next thing? Dang, it didn't work this time. Okay, try again tomorrow. And it's literally the same thing. From startups that I've worked at, from CEOs that I've interviewed, it's all the same thing. They're going, they're finding, they're testing. You know, in the business world, in the tech world, we'll call it, oh, we're testing this, we're A/B testing that, we're figuring out, we're trying to figure out what our customer wants. You know what that is? That's just no's, right? Exactly. No, I don't want your product. No, I don't want this. No, this doesn't quite work. No, this business plan doesn't look quite right. Going through the no's until you find the one yes. And what people have to realize is that one yes, right, is worth the 100 no's, the 1,000 no's, right? Because that one yes does two things. Number one, it rebuilds your belief, right? Fills that cup back up, right? We're all human. Look, don't nobody want to be told no. Right? So it builds that back up, and then so there's that belief in that, okay, this can be done.
Well, I think too, you know, exposure. One of my main mottos is exposure is everything, right? So I was not exposed to the industry until I was 30 years old. My parents were 50 before they were exposed to the industry. And you're talking about residual income. Like, what is that? We've always been taught trade hours for dollars, right? Yeah. So this is a totally new concept. What, you can make money when you're sleeping? What? You can make leveraged income. You can make multiple streams within one business model, right? So just the exposure is everything.
Right.
You know, and then, like I said, once you see someone that looks like you winning in the industry, it's amazing what that does for your confidence. If they can do it, I can do it too.
Right. Yeah, I will definitely say that, you know, representation, I took that for granted for so long because, you know, being in tech, I was always used to just not seeing people that looked like me. Okay. So I was just used to it.
Yeah,
it was like, okay, cool, right? And I didn't realize how much of an impact it had on me until I attended an event, was this a couple of years ago. It was here in Atlanta. And it was a network marketing conference, financial services industry. And it was like, okay, cool, going out, checking some things out. I was like, all right, cool. And they had this one session where they had all of the $100,000 earners that were African-American come across the stage, and literally like brought me to like tears when I'm watching, just like, they just calling name after name after name after name. And I'm seeing 50 different families walk up on this stage that all look like me. And I'm just like, wow. And for me, why that was so important is because I am, you know, in my career, like I said, I've hit six figures really early in my career. I've been blessed with the career that I've had, but again, there was not a whole lot of people that looked like me that were there, right? So this quote unquote success that I was having was cool, but it was just like when I would meet somebody, it'd be like one other person or two. So it's like it'd be our little club, but we'd be talking about it like, yo, we got to get more people over here. Like, yo, like this is, you know, and so to see that, like that was the spark for me that I'm like, this, right? This is what we need our people to see that, yes, like you need to understand. And to your point, like what these concepts of residual income are, there aren't these, I think people tie the teachings that you learn with network marketing with some of the unfortunate opportunities that have been built on top of it. Look, people don't take advantage of anything, right? And so they tie all that together, but it's like, the residual income is a real thing. How do you think these hedge fund managers, how do you think these big corporations, like, what do you think happens every time you buy one of these? Somebody, you think Best Buy, wherever you bought it from, is the only person getting paid? No, right? Like this is how these corporations are made. They're business systems that create that residual income where you do this work, you design this product, you put in all this work, and you do all that once, and then it just sells and sells. And every time it sells, somebody is getting paid. This is what business systems are created. And so it's why I'm so always passionate about this topic and love talking to people that's in it, is because more of our people need to understand this. It's like, and it's a push that I tell people, it's like, I'm not telling you to go join a network marketing company. I'm telling you to understand the concepts, right? And if you find one that works for you, great. And if you look at it as, I don't really like it, great, but you can still apply those concepts and then go do it yourself, right?
Absolutely. I remember the day that I learned that only 8% of African Americans were involved in the industry. I was at home washing my dishes, listening to Eric Worre. And I was like, where are my people on stage? And maybe there was one. And so that, caused me to do the research. And I learned that only 8% of African Americans are involved in network marketing. I was like, okay, I got to change this. So that day I was like, on a mission to help more families realize that residual income is real, that they deserve it, and that we can do it as well. And it's just about exposure. And then it's also about studying the industry. Once you study the industry, you'll realize, the percentage of people that are successful, the percentage of people that get involved just to save on their product. And there's nothing wrong with that. I heard a wise, rich, wealthy woman say, if you're going to use it, you should own it. I was like, oh, you shouldn't have told me that. I got it. So, it's just about getting an understanding. And I like to tell people, when you start a job, there's a job description, right? So you got to follow that job description. And initially it's like, why did I even take this job? Right. But then after you perform your job title, your responsibilities for a while, you get used to that and you can do it in your sleep. Well, the same is true over here. Once you study the industry, what to expect and the work, then it's going to become second nature to you, just like your career.
Right.
And so, most people work this business on a part-time basis, and can create full-time income. That's a game changer.
Yeah. And it's not even, I remember the biggest thing that resonated with me, right? Because my personality type, right? I'm at one point I've done the Myers-Briggs. I don't remember which letters I'm on, but it's the one I always think is like, is a winter cleric, right? I'm an engineer, so I'm logical by background. I look at things or whatever, but I am ambitious, and just like, I see something, I'm like, if you tell me I bet you can't get to the top, I'm like, okay. Like, it's how I am, right? So I used to look at things and see things, the comp plans or whatever, and be like, yeah, it's that, right? Like, don't talk to me till we talking about the $20,000 a month or this, that, or whatever, right? And it took me a while to realize, and again, based on, like my career path where I was always at, right? Like I had already done well for myself in my corporate career. So I'm just like, it again, for me to, because I was trained like trade time for money. So I was like, okay, you want me to invest time in this? And currently my time is getting me this. So if you want me to put it like, don't come to me talking to me about, I'm gonna get you an extra $50. I'm like,
right. Right.
They ain't really doing nothing for me, G, right? But it took a buddy of mine who was really good with numbers to start breaking things down. And similar to what you were talking about, just the numbers, right? He was like, look, let me break down to you like the numbers because of what people make and where they're at. He goes, and then let me explain to you what this is. He goes, so when you see something that says like somebody can make an extra $500 a month or $1,000 a month, think about what that means for your average person. And he broke down, here's the average salary of the people in the US. So now you tell somebody, right? Tell a school teacher that for, we're going to create this leverage for an additional 5 to 7 hours a week. I'm going to add an additional $500 into your monthly budget. What does that do for you? He goes, I want you to go do this. Go talk to people that you know. Because I knew I had a couple of friends that were teachers, and just ask them, what would $500 a month do for you? And he goes, listen to what they're saying. He goes, but watch their face. Mm-hmm. And I went and did that. And I was like, I got it. Yeah. Right. It's like, you know, the one buddy I talked to, he was just like, man, I mean, he sat back and he was like, dude, man, we could do this. Like, and I was just like, that was the link. I was like, this is what we're missing.
That's right?
It's taking this to, yes, you have all these grand things that you can go do, but realizing that we got to baby step people, right?
Exactly.
Because I can't get you to believe 20,000 if I can't show you 10, 15, 50, whatever it is, right? I got to bring something to you and say, okay, let me show you how to get this attainable thing. And now you see it, Kym, it's in your hands. It's in your account. You'd be like, whew, okay, I got it. Now I can possibly start to build on that and tell you about, I can get you 20 of these.
Exactly. And if we can be, you know, if I can be really transparent, you got to realize, like, my career as a medical office manager, salary capped off at 60 grand, right? So for me to believe that I can earn $1,000 a month residual was tough.
Right.
You know, and then move from there to $5,000 a month residual. I mean, like the mindset and the work that goes into believing that you can do it. It's a lot. Yeah. Especially if you come from a salary that's capped and you're used to working 2 or 3 jobs to make extra money. So now you're telling me I can earn 6 figures a month. That doesn't even seem realistic. Yeah. 6 figures a year, I don't even know about that right now.
Right.
But 6 figures residually, it's a different conversation and it takes time. So I love the extra $500 to an extra $1,000 a month because it really can change someone's life.
Yeah. I want to talk about that a little bit. I want to talk about mindset a little bit. To tell me, like, in your journey with this, how has your mindset changed about how you see things?
It's really been about just believing in myself. In the beginning, like I said, ignorance on fire. Like, this is an opportunity. It's inexpensive. I know you like to do this anyway. Let me show you how to save and get paid. You know, everyone should be doing. I'm a strong recruiter. Like I call myself an evangelist of entrepreneurship, right? Like I will spread the word, right? So for me, I had to realize that everyone is not an evangelist. Everyone is not going to go out here and share. That's not normal. That was just normal for me. If I have something that can help you live better, why would I keep it to myself, right? Right. But everyone is not like that. So for me, I had to learn that I've got to show them how to do this. And I didn't know that. I just expected them to copy what I was doing. And so now learning how to coach and walk people, you know, through the process and help them, you know, believe that they're worthy of it as well. Help them understand the industry, help them understand the numbers, you know, the work ethic that is required. You know, you're already working, you're doing the work for someone else. Now let's invest into your future. Let's invest into your wealth. You know, let's invest into your family. And so just being creative and working on ways to introduce or invite others to an industry that's taboo, you know, living out loud, you know, stepping out of my comfort zone, stepping out of the box, thinking outside of the box, you know, in order to attract other people to the industry. You know, that's a constant battle, if you will. But at the end of the day, I realize I've got to work.
Right.
And so if I'm going to work, I have just personally decided it's going to be for residual income. So you figure it out. You do the work until you figure it out.
Okay. What would you say is, you got to pick one, right? Like, what's the most important thing that you've learned from this journey?
You're going to do a lot of work up front. you know, and later you're going to get paid for it. In the beginning, you know, I'm out here sharing. And then one day someone else gets it the way that I get it. And then they take our team to another 100 people, you know, just learning to not get weary in well-doing, to just be consistent in my work ethic and just continue to share and not to give up on people. And just to remember where I started. I'm not the same person that I was, you know, 5.5 years ago. And to you know, remember where I started and never forget that, because I feel sometimes when people teach, they forget that. They teach from the 6-figure status versus when they were 4 figures a month. You know what I'm saying? And I really want to be able to connect with people so that they can have hope. Because what else do we have, David?
That's right. So if we jumped in the time machine and we go back 5 years, and we walking around North Carolina, and we see 5 years ago Kym, and I say, okay, Kym, you got 2 minutes that you can go and talk to 5 years ago Kym. What are you going to tell her? You only got 2 minutes.
Oh my goodness. What would I say? Keep going. You have what it takes. Let's see what else. Just, I mean, at the end of the day, just keep going. Keep striving. Keep fighting. Keep the faith. Go and cry and, you know, wipe your tears and get up and do it again. You know, just don't stop. Right. Just don't stop. If you managed a medical practice for 24 years, surely you can do this.
Okay. All right, we're going to take a real quick break, and when we come back, y'all know what it is. The infamous worldwide segment. Look, everybody around the world loves this segment of this podcast. They talk about it all the time. It is called The Last Sip. And at some point, I probably have to rename it because, you know, we just haven't had the cocktails in a while. But when we come back, we'll have The Last Sip with Miss Kym Caldwell. We'll be right back. Hey, what's up, C3 Squad? Thanks for listening to the C3 podcast. Wanted to let you know this is brought to you by ebonyscent.com. And of course, you guys already know, you got to head over to ebonyscent.com and check out all the podcasts that we have available for you, and be paying close attention this summer because we are launching 5 brand new shows to the network. But head over to ebonyscent.com. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe so you can get to the latest on all the updates. You can check out the C3 podcast. You can check out the Money-ish blog and podcast coming soon. And of course, Open Door Conversations. We are diving into all the topics about mental health. It's all for you for free. ebonyscent.com. Hit the button, subscribe, link up. Let's get you back to the pod. All right, C3 Squad, welcome back. Y'all know what it is. It is the infamous Last Sip. I love this segment of the podcast. It is the segment that all my guests both love and hate.
Oh my goodness.
Only because, you know, it usually causes them a little consternation when we get to this part. But it's really just it's one question, and you can take your time. But what do you want your legacy to be?
I want my legacy to be one of really enjoying your life. You know, something has happened to me in the last, maybe during the pandemic, just realizing how short life is, to wake up and really enjoy your life and realize why you are doing what you're doing. You know, being a byproduct of a small business for the majority of my life, you know, I took Monday off to go to the pool, and I didn't work. I was in the pool. I was playing with the kids. Like, I don't get in the water. But I was out there playing with the kids, you know, listening to them and their innocence, you know, playing Marco Polo. And, you know, it just took me down this path of my childhood and just realizing it's just, you know, wow, now I'm almost 52. Right. So I really want my legacy to be wake up and enjoy your life. You know, bad things happen to good people. Good things happen to bad people. We've got to really enjoy life, because I remember being in the race day in and day out, 24 years. And now, people think I work all the time because they see me on social media. And I'm like, I got y'all fooled. I have so much free time because of this residual income. I still work, but I have the freedom to work from my cell phone. I have the freedom to work whenever I get ready. I just have, it's a different life.
Yeah.
And network marketing is not for everyone, and I get that, but it is definitely a way to create true freedom. As our medical practice got successful, it demanded more of our time.
Yeah.
And a family business never goes away. It's 24/7.
Right.
And so that's another reason why I'm such an advocate of network marketing, because the more successful you become, the more time freedom it creates for you. And multiple streams of income, making money when you're sleeping, getting leveraged income, making money together, collaborating with others. Like, I'm all about, it's not about being in competition, but how can we collaborate and help someone else get that concept?
Right.
So that we can all be free, and I realize that there is so much money out here. So much money. It's enough for all of us. If I tell you all of my secrets, guess what? It's not going to take away anything from me.
Right.
So I just think we're better together, but enjoy your life. They say YOLO, I say WOLO. We only live once. Period. And I want people to wake up to that earlier.
Right. I'm with you. I'm right there with you. I think, well, I know, right? The pandemic changed a lot of people's mindsets on how they view a lot of things. And we've seen it just, here in the US, the Great Resignation, all this stuff or whatever. I'm actually kind of calling it the Great Awakening, because people are just, it woke us all up, right? And you're just like, what am I doing? What do I want to do? Right? Like, is this it? Like, is this really it? Because again, back to what we were talking about, like when the consequence becomes real, we were all faced with mortality and we had to stare it right in the face. Exactly. Right. And it was probably the closest that anybody in this generation will ever get to like living in a real live scary movie where it's just like, okay, I
don't know.
I don't know what to do. I don't know what's happening. And so then you start to go through that and go, okay, we're seeing it with the restaurant workers and just all kind of hourly workers where it's like, okay, I wake up every day, I do this for this much. Like, why am I doing this? Right? What do I want to do? I ran into here in the little square, we have I think it's an art festival. I think it's like every first Friday, something like that or whatever. But ran into this brother who had all these paintings and he was selling his paintings. And I'm big on art. I always have a bunch of, as you can see behind me, I got pictures, art, I got stuff everywhere, right? And my friends was like, don't buy another piece of art until you figure out what you're gonna do with the rest of the stuff you just got, right? I'm big about it. So, and I was talking to him and he said, yeah, man, I said, how long have you been painting? He goes, man, I started in 2020, like during the pandemic. And I was like, he goes, yeah, I came home from work one day and I was like, well, he was like the day before everything shut down, he came home from work. He was like, I'm trying to look for something different. Then the shutdown happens. He goes, I'm in the house for like weeks at a time. And I was like, he said he talked to his wife. He's like, babe, I've been thinking about doing this for a while. Let's go do it. So he went, bought the supplies. He goes, man, I just started painting and teaching myself and going on YouTube and finding different things or whatever. And so he just kept painting. He goes, about 6 months in, he had his first one and he sold one. And he couldn't believe he even sold one. He was just like, somebody saw it and was like, oh, I'll buy it. He's like, wait, what? And then he was like, and then when he started to get good, sold a couple more, he was like, I'm not going back to work. Mm-hmm. Why? I'm not even happy doing that. And it's, I tell that story because I feel like it's indicative of so many people that now, kind of 2 years into this thing, kind of coming out, whatever, but people have realized like, okay, there is a different way to live. There is a different world out here that I want to experience because I'm tired of just eyes front, blinders on, doing the same thing every day. Yeah. Because we all really now fully realize that tomorrow is not promised. So then if I only got today, what the hell do I want to do? It damn sure ain't flipping nobody burger. It damn sure ain't sitting on some phone having somebody yell at me, whatever it is, right? And I am grateful, and this may sound weird, that people had to have that. I hate the fact that how it had to happen,
Right.
but like I'm grateful that people are looking at this and saying, okay, I want to do something different. I truly want to find what it is that I'm supposed to do. Because what I'm convinced is what it is you will find when you start to interrogate yourself and ask yourself the questions and really push, you will find what you were placed here for. And that will connect to you. Because I believe it's planted in all of us since birth, right? There's this little person, there's this little you, there's this little David, and he's put in this little cage, a little Ken is put in there, and written on a note they have is like, this is what you're supposed to do.
That's right.
Right. And that's given to you, and it's put in a little cage, and you grow up and it's like, okay, there it's there. Right. And I truly believe what's happened is that person inside of all of us has been screaming and screaming and screaming, and we just didn't hear it because we got focused on this and work and that and that. And then what happened? We were forced to slow down and stop and couldn't go anywhere. So we couldn't, everything else was blocked out. So the only thing we could hear is that little voice inside is yelling, saying, Kym, this is what I want to do. And you were like, oh, hi, Kym.
Nice to meet you.
Right? Let's go figure this thing out. And I just believe that happened to a lot of people. And so I truly think we'll look back 10, 15, 20 years from now and look at this time and say, like, it created a shift in generational wealth, in thinking, and how we approach a lot of things, because a lot of people just kind of woke up and said, I want to find something different.
I totally agree. Totally agree. And I'm grateful, to still be here, every day. It's not just a song, millions didn't make it. Like, that's just not a song anymore.
Right.
That's the reality. I was in Jamaica about 2 weeks ago, met a young man, and I said, why did God send you here? He just looked at me. I was like, yeah, that's the kind of questions that we need to be asking each other.
Yeah. Why
did God send you here?
Yep.
I am on pursuit to find that and do that until I leave.
I got you. All right. Well, Kym, it has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming by the C3 Pod and chopping it up and talking. C3 Squad, y'all know what it is. Tune in. We've got a lot of special things coming. There's going to be some announcements coming. You guys will see it. Y'all know where to get us, ebonyascent.com. Check us out. Make sure to subscribe and log in. But until then, y'all know what it is. To the next cocktail, to the next conversation. Y'all stay safe out there.
Take care.